This is breaking news from RTV6, working for you.
Effective July 9th, the Marion County Public Health Department will be requiring face coverings for residents when they are out in public.
It's a big step, but the mayor and public health directors say it's needed to prevent a resurgence of COVID-19 that other states are experiencing. Starting 1 week from today, you will have to wear a face mask in Marion County if you're outside your home and in a public place. That includes all retail and office buildings unless you are alone inside your office. Mayor Joe Hogsett made that announcement this morning along with Dr. Virginia Kane, the director of the Marion County Public Health Department. The city and the county will also adopt most of what Governor Holcomb announced on Wednesday as stage 4.5 of Indiana's Back on Track plan. But the mayor says masks in the state's most densely populated county are needed to prevent a COVID-19 surge that other cities across the country are experiencing right now.
This is a major change to what normal means here in Indianapolis. And I sympathize with those who feel overwhelmed by the transformation of our daily lives. But I'll be honest, I don't have sympathy for those who may argue in the coming days that this simple, science-driven policy is an unjust burden.
Dr. Kane says that while coronavirus cases locally are up around 2%, cases in surrounding states, surrounding Indiana, that is, are starting to rise again. The new mask requirement applies to anyone age 3 and older unless they have a medical condition that may prevent you from wearing one. There are other areas in which Marion County's reopening plan will continue to be different from the state's plan. The mayor says indoor areas of assisted living facilities and nursing homes will remain closed to visitors. The temporary closure of Mass Ave, Broad Ripple Avenue, and Georgia Street to promote outdoor dining will be extended through Sunday, July 19th. And any event with more than 1,000 people has to submit a public health plan and get approval from the Marion County Health Department. The city's announcement comes just one day after Governor Holcomb said that Indiana would not move into the final stage of his Back on Track plan this weekend. Stage 5 was supposed to begin on the 4th of July, but the governor says he is holding back because of a small rise in cases. He's hoping to prevent a larger outbreak that's been seen in many other states that reopened early. Despite the restrictions, Holcomb says Indiana is still planning to open schools to students on time.
Yes, they still should plan to open and receive students in the facility for instruction. Coming up here, you said less than 30 days, so July, August time period. This is when the planning is occurring.
Well, the state's health commissioner says they feel strongly that students can get back safely to school later this month. Here's an example of the small increase the governor and the mayor are talking about. The number of new COVID-19 cases in the state rose by 453 today, a slight increase over yesterday's total. There was also a small increase in the number of new deaths reported, with 13 added to the state's total. The number of people in hospitals with the virus did fall slightly, though, to 644. We do want to take a turn right now to our forecast on this Thursday. Todd, we're getting ready to head into a holiday weekend. What can folks expect as they head out the door for their lunch this midday?
Yeah, a lot of heat out there already, Lauren. Look at these temperatures at the noon hour across central Indiana with nothing but sunshine. And thankfully, the humidity is a little bit lower than it has been, but 86 right now in Indy, up to 88 degrees already in Bloomington. And it's just 12 o'clock. And with the sunshine, these temperatures are going to continue to warm going forward in this forecast over the course of the next couple hours. And many locations easily should climb up into the 90s. You factor in what humidity we do have out there, and heat index values off to the east in Terre Haute at 93. 88 is the heat index in Indianapolis. And look at that sunshine. At this point, the past couple days, we were building in some fair weather clouds. You just notice a couple of them off there in the distance, and that is just about it. The best chance for any rain today has shifted further off to our west. It's going to be here in Illinois where you see the cloud covers. So for us, mostly sunny skies this afternoon, a little bit of a breeze, a high temperature of 90 degrees, and then still in the 80s later later on this evening. It's not a one-day deal. In fact, it gets even hotter heading into the holiday weekend. More on that, Lauren, coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. New this midday, Metro Police are investigating the city's latest homicide. This happened overnight on the east side. Police were called to a home on North Dearborn Street, just south of 10th Street. Officers say they found a man with a gunshot wound outside of the house. The man later died at the hospital. Police have not released any information about a possible suspect. Well, it's not a good sign for Indiana's economy as the state attempts to rebound from the pandemic. The number of Hoosiers filing for unemployment claims for the first time almost doubled last week. The Department of Labor says that more than 53,000 people in Indiana applied for unemployment benefits for the week ending June 27th. That's a 45% increase in claims from the previous week. RTV6 has learned the state is placing a temporary hold on the payment of claims seeking the extra $600 federal unemployment benefit, and that's because the Department of Workforce Development claims it's seen an unusual increase in the number of people applying for those dollars. The department says that could impact Hoosiers who've done nothing wrong.
And hopefully we're back processing those very quickly here. What it means is that, to some extent, they may have to wait or call us and make sure that they can regain access to an account if they've been locked out. It means they share some characteristic with claims that have been identified as fraudulent. Obviously, not everyone that's locked is fraud, but the goal was to make sure that we cut off access to fraudulent actors, and that may have caught up some legitimate claims in there.
Well, Richardson says the department's action does not impact people filing for regular state unemployment. Even though unemployment claims rose, the Labor Department says the national unemployment rate fell in June, with some businesses opening back up. But only a fraction of the workers who lost their jobs during the pandemic have gone back to work. ABC's Andrew Dimbert says that's because of the spike in virus cases some states are having to shut down those businesses once again.
New today, a drop in the unemployment rate as the nation continues to grapple with the economic impacts of the coronavirus pandemic. Unemployment fell to 11.1% in June, while 4.8 million jobs were added, which was on the high end of what economists expected. While those numbers suggest the economy is headed in the right direction, the number of Americans without jobs is still historically high.
Today's announcement proves that our economy is roaring back. It's coming back extremely strong.
And nearly 1.5 million Americans applied for unemployment in 1 week. With COVID-19 cases on the rise in more than half the country, 40 states are now doing some form of second shutdowns. Vice President Pence, who also heads the coronavirus task force, says safety measures are moving the country forward.
We shouldn't look at these public safety measures as an impediment to continuing to open up our economy. We should look at them as a vehicle to opening up.
But a cloud continues to hang over the economic recovery from COVID-19 as the second wave of business closures is forcing employers to send their workers back to the unemployment line.
I got furloughed with almost no notice. This second round, I think, is going to be more stressful.
In Arizona, one of a handful of states seeing a surge in the spread, Kel Duncan made the difficult call to close his market.
We're laying off about 28 people. It was going to be a risk of losing more money trying to be open during this. Exposing people for the amount of revenue we were getting just did not make sense or feel right.
Some major companies are also reevaluating their pandemic plans. Apple, which had been reopening many of its 270 stores in the U.S., says it will now temporarily close dozens. McDonald's also plans to pause the reopening of dine-in service. Even though more than 4 million jobs were added last month, there is mounting pressure here in D.C. for more financial help. Congress is extending the Paycheck Protection Program, that lifeline for small businesses, until early August. But some of the hardest hit states, their local and state governments, are facing big financial shortfalls in tax revenue. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington.
Andrew, thank you. Well, he appeared at a mega church in Texas over the weekend, but now we're learning that some of its members had COVID-19. Coming up, what we know about whether the vice president may have been exposed to the virus. Todd.
And Lauren, a big area of high pressure is settling into central Indiana for the holiday weekend. As this settles in and it parks itself on top of us, that means a prolonged period of a very hot stretch of weather. In fact, it could be the longest stretch of 90-degree temperatures since 2012. We'll talk all about it coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now is 12:09.
1 hour series premiere Wednesday, July 15th on ABC.
this midday, the church in Texas that hosted Vice President Mike Pence last weekend had several members who tested positive for COVID-19 prior to his visit. The former Indiana governor spoke at First Baptist Dallas this past Sunday. BuzzFeed is reporting that at least 5 members of the choir and orchestra at the megachurch tested positive for the coronavirus back in June. The report says none of the members were at Sunday's service with Pence, but it isn't known yet how many other choir and orchestra members were exposed, and video from the event shows they were not wearing masks. And now that we know that masks are going to be mandatory here in Marion County, a new social media campaign is taking on new significance. But this campaign is also aimed at areas where you don't have to wear a mask. While Governor Holcomb is not mandating face coverings statewide, he and the state health department are highly recommending them. That's why the state is now asking people to share on social media why they are masking up.
I wear my mask for my parents. I want to ensure that my family is protecting yours.
I wear my mask because I've spent my entire life protecting others.
I wear my mask for all of you. Will you wear your mask for us?
Well, the social media campaign is hoping to target people who are getting their news on their smartphones or from Facebook, and that's because recent numbers show a rise in COVID-19 cases among younger people. Well, coming up, a church suspends its pastor, but some critics say they need to do more. Next, more on the fallout from what some say was a racist post to the church's website. We'll be right back.
Locally owned and operated for over 50 years.
Welcome back. A pastor in Carmel has been suspended from public ministry at his Catholic church after writing an inflammatory message about Black Lives Matter protesters. Reverend Theodore Rothrock referred to the protesters as maggots and parasites in a message posted on the website of St. Elizabeth Seton Catholic Church. The post was later taken down and was criticized by the bishop of the Diocese of Lafayette. The bishop then announced Rothrock's suspension on Wednesday. The priest issued a statement saying he did not intend to offend anyone. The group Carmel Against Racial Injustice is planning a protest at the church this Sunday. Now, that group did say that they would change the focus of that demonstration now that the pastor has been suspended. They issued this statement saying that the protest would now be called a, quote, gathering for equality, justice, and healing. That group commended the bishop for suspending Reverend Rothrock, but it also says it's calling for the priest to be barred from leading any other congregation. The group says it continues to have ongoing dialogue with one of the church's deacons. Talking about racism and racial inequality can be difficult, and so RTV6 and our partners with Radio 1 are hoping to help change that. Tonight we're airing a commercial-free 1-hour town hall. It's called A Conversation on Race, Connecting Central Indiana. Panelists will discuss where we are right now, how to move forward, and how to deal with interactions with law enforcement. We spoke with Mayor Joe Hogsett and IMPD Chief Randall Taylor to get their views on the Black Lives Matter movement and what it means to them.
You cannot affirmatively say that all lives matter unless and until you are willing to acknowledge that Black lives matter.
Black lives do matter, and you know, I will admit, when I first heard that, I didn't totally understand really what all it meant until I looked deeper into it and realized that, you know, what the mayor said is true. Black lives do indeed matter. You know, I think the tendency is sometimes to say all lives matter. But I now understand that, like the mayor said, if Black lives don't matter, then really no lives matter at all.
Well, again, you can watch the full virtual town hall, A Conversation on Race, Connecting Central Indiana, tonight at 7 o'clock. It will air right here on RTV6 and on our digital platforms. It will also be simulcast on 3 Radio 1 stations. We do want to take a turn right now to our forecast. It's Thursday. A lot of people gearing up for the holiday weekend, Todd, and it's going to be a hot one.
Yeah, hot all across central Indiana, and really, honestly, the Midwest if your travel plans take you to the surrounding states around Indiana. Lauren, of course, here in Indianapolis, we have all the races taking place at IMS, and all those races will get in. Obviously, no fans, but it's going to be a hot one for the drivers and the crew and the staff there at IMS. But if you were watching on TV, you don't have to worry about any rain delays for those races. So yesterday, July 1st, 90 degrees, and I think today we should get to 90 degrees, and then we easily easily get there as we work our way through the holiday weekend and into next week. So this is potentially the longest stretch of 90-degree weather or warmer since 2012, and slim rain chances as well going forward in this forecast over the course of the next few days. Temperatures already in the 80s anywhere you go. In fact, look at Bloomington, 88 degrees, 86 in Indy as well as Lafayette. It's 84 in Columbus and Connorsville, currently at 87 degrees. As far as the dew points go, which is a measure of moisture in the atmosphere, anytime the dew points are in the 70s, it's really uncomfortable. And that's where we were earlier in the week. The dew points have come down, so it's a little more comfortable, despite it being actually a little bit warmer than what we started off the week with, temperatures in the upper 80s. And those dew points are going to hold fairly steady as we work our way throughout the course of the remainder of the day and into the overnight hours. Highs right around 90 degrees in most locations. Could see highs about 91 to maybe 92 or 93 in some western and southern locations. And as we go throughout the course of the day today, we'll build in a few fair weather clouds, but I do think that the bulk of any shower activity or development is going to be off to our west, just a little bit closer here to this disturbance and the clouds that you see across parts of western Illinois in the St. Louis area. The past couple days, we've built up those clouds and a few downpours, but they got less and less from being numerous on Sunday and Monday to yesterday was just being a spotty one. And then today, I don't think anybody is going to see any rain throughout the course of the day. If you have plans this evening, of course, many people off for the holiday tomorrow. Maybe you have dinner plans. It's going to be warm this evening with lots of sunshine. Sunset at 9:17 with temperatures that will be in the 80s. Looking ahead to the day tomorrow, and back up into the low 90s, light winds. The humidity remains basically the same as it is today with mostly sunny skies. And then as we continue into your weekend forecast, we'll actually bump the temperatures up a couple degrees. We'll look for highs in the low 90s both Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, about a 20% chance of an isolated storm in the forecast, but I really wouldn't worry about that if you do have outdoor plans. So your 7-day planning forecast straight across the board. It's been a long time since I did a 7-day planning forecast here, Lauren, with high temperatures in the 90s each and every day, but that's what we have. And honestly, if we would extend this out a couple more days, I'll probably have a couple more 90s for you going all the way into next weekend. So it's a hot stretch of weather and a fairly dry stretch of weather. Just some spotty storms there in the forecast once we get to Sunday and into the middle of next week.
All right, quite a heat wave there, Todd. Thank you so much. And though the pandemic is not over yet, holiday travel is starting to pick back up. Millions are expected to hit the roads this weekend for the 4th of July holiday. Our Alyssa Donovan explains what you can expect and how you can stay safe if you plan to take a trip for the holiday.
If you are planning to travel this holiday weekend, the CDC recommends you think ahead and plan for safety. The CDC recommends if you plan to travel this holiday weekend, check the latest COVID-19 numbers of your destination first. Are they on the rise? Are beaches or other tourist attractions closed? If you plan to stay at hotels or Airbnbs, make sure you ask about their cleaning process. Find out how often they're disinfecting and if additional precautions are being taken. Bring a mask and cleaning supplies with you as well as hand sanitizer. 97% of travelers will be driving. That's according to AAA. So when you step up to the pump, you may want to use a plastic bag or glove when grabbing the gas handle. And also be aware of social distancing guidelines. I'm Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. Here is a live look right now through our Weather Now camera. We'll get one final check of our forecast with Todd coming up. You're watching RTV6 News at noon. Stay with us.
$100 million collected for our clients.
All right, temperatures are in the 80s across central Indiana, 86 in Indy, 88 in Bloomington, 84 is the current temperature in Muncie. We'll go up a couple other degrees here. It's a high right around 90 this afternoon, 92 tomorrow, then 93 for Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be a very hot and somewhat humid holiday weekend. The humidity not quite as high as it has been across the area. That's the good news. And then we'll start to build in spotty storms on Sunday, and they keep them in the forecast into next week, Lauren, but it's only about a 20% chance that we'll see one.
All right, Todd, thanks, and thank you for joining us and making RTV6 your choice for news. Have a great one.